Tashi Delek. Hagar Sang, everybody. And so today is also a very special day in the Buddhist history. We consider it's a Sagadawa full moon day. As we all know, this is a very auspicious day in the Buddha's life that we consider it as a Buddha's enlightenment day. And also sometimes some calendar also says that it's a Buddha's birthday, also the Parinirvana day, and so it is a Sagadawa day and full moon, and also I think in some part of the world it is also having a lunar eclipse, and so today in India this morning we were very fortunate to have His Holiness the Dalai Lama giving teachings on three principal path and also Bodhisattva vow that he actually given. So it was a very fortunate for all of us, and some of you who haven't received this Dalai Lama teaching, I think if you go to dalailama.com, I think this teaching is still saved there, and you can still go and listen to the teaching and take a Bodhisattva vow. So, so everybody, happy Sagadawa, and as well as Hagar Sang, happy Wednesday. And so, because today is a very special day of Sagadawa, before we begin this Wednesday talk, and I wanted to honor Buddha Shakyamuni by reciting some praises to Buddha Shakyamuni. So I will recite this in Tibetan, and you can just kind of like do your honoring and praise to Buddha Shakyamuni from your heart. All right? Kangi duze nyeso ne dawa tamje pambe jire tabe chune dunze be kautam tela chasa lo. Kangi tenjen drewa zhungaba meba, ge meba, cheba meba, da meba, honga meba, ndro meba, tade temen tenje me. Dreba nyeshi shiren denba, zobe sanje manam ge. Tamba tela chasa lo. Okay, so with this honoring Buddha Shakyamuni on this special day of Sagadawa, and everybody who are here, welcome to Wednesdays with Rinpoche, and our talk tonight is actually Fourth Noble Truth, which is called the truth of path. And for last few Wednesdays, we have been studying Four Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth was the truth of suffering, and then the second Noble Truth is the truth of cause, or truth of origin. And then third Noble Truth is the truth of cessation. And so fourth Noble Truth is called the truth of path. And so to actually the truth of path, I think and actually it is the best way to honor Buddha Shakyamuni is to actually to walk on the path that Buddha has shown us. As His Holiness the Dalai Lama also says that instead of it is good to actually pay homage and honoring Buddha, and then doing the prostrations and making the offerings and saying all the praises to Buddhas and all these things. But the best way to honor Buddha is actually to put that the path that Buddha has shown us into practice, right? To put it into practice. So actually today is a perfect kind of like a time, right, to learn the truth of the path. So the truth of the path, so basically the path, right? So it is like in Tibetan we say lam. Lam is kind of like it is the way, right? It is the way, or kind of like the road to the enlightenment. So somehow, why it is called the path is because it is kind of like a Buddha actually can only show how can we free ourselves from suffering, right? And somehow it is the fact. The fact is that we do have a problem. We do have issues in the samsara, and somehow we all are struggling with the struggles, and that is the fact. So that is the fact that we actually have a suffering, and we are all willing, right? We are all willing to free from suffering. So that is just kind of based on that fact. So Buddha actually first he taught the truth of suffering, right? So this is suffering is something that we actually don't want to. We want to overcome. We don't want to actually live in suffering. So based on that fact, then it is kind of like we first need to know that we are suffering, and we are actually willing to free ourselves from suffering. So that is why first truth Buddha actually showed that this is the truth of suffering. So somehow, so suffering is to understand. We should understand suffering, right? So by understanding, first we have to acknowledge that we have a problem and we are willing to be free from suffering. So then this suffering that we are actually going through in our day-to-day life, so does it actually come sort of like what do you call, sort of like without any cause? Or is it just kind of like are we really meant to be suffering, or are we meant to be miserable? If that is the case, then there is actually no point. So somehow we are not meant to be a miserable person. So somehow this misery, this suffering, somehow how did it come? How did it comes about in our life? Then there is a cause. So then Buddha actually said, so there is the cause somehow, like there are many causes and conditions that we are actually creating. So like to understand that, the second truth is the truth of cause. So we know that this is, so if there is a cause, then it is possible, right? It is possible that if we actually stop, can we stop those causes? Can we stop suffering? Then the third noble truth is, yes, we can stop. So there's the truth of cessation. So then the next one, like if if suffering is something that we don't want and it has a cause, and it is also seizable, the suffering can stop, then automatically, right, naturally, this question will come: how can we stop suffering? So then, Buddha actually shows that there is a way, sort of like there is a path. So he actually show the path. So it is like the fourth noble truth. Actually, Buddha actually said, "Dinne lam pakbe dembao." That is how actually Buddha taught the truth of the path. So this truth of the path, so somehow, kind of like Buddha actually show us the path. This is something like how can you actually achieve the state of free from suffering. So there is a like a how to do that. So that how to somehow, right, anything like when we actually going to do something, it is very important for us to know how to, right, how to do this, how to. So it is kind of how to solve the problem. So the path is like he showed, this is the truth of the path. So again, when Buddha actually said, like Dini Lam Pakwe Tembaho, again, like all the other previous truth, he again, he actually said this is like, so again, here, this word is very powerful too. Dini, like Buddha said, Dini means, in English it is like this is. So this is the truth of path. So now it is kind of like the truth of path is not somewhere out there. It is not in the past. It is not in the future. So somehow the path that we are actually looking how to walk on the path, how to achieve the enlightenment, how to achieve nirvana. So this path is also, it is here, right here. So it also shows that like when Buddha said this is the path, so somehow like don't look for the path somewhere in the future. And this is actually one big mistake that many of us do, right? Sort of like, okay, so there is a path, there is a method, there is a technique. So like we always consider that this path is somewhere in the future. And because we think that the path is somewhere in the future, and then procrastination comes, right? It is kind of like we always think that, okay, so there must be a path, but right now I'm not ready. Like, am I ready to walk on the path to enlightenment? I think many of us, like our egoistic mind, if we ask this question to ourselves, then our answer will be like almost, we always say that, not yet, right? I'm not ready yet. So then, like our answer is always, I think I will walk on that path someday, right? Like, so the problem why we think that the path, like it is like somewhere, like I will do that later, right? I will do that mañana, like tomorrow, later. It is just kind of like so what, like when we actually say that, when we actually kind of put it that way, then it is like we are thinking that the path to enlightenment is somewhere in the future. So we are actually not looking for the path here. So that is why when Buddha said this is the truth of path, so why he pointed this here? So it is like, it is something that the path, we should not look somewhere in the future. We should look at that path right now, here. Right here. Sort of like, so it is like a, kind of like, it is very important for us to look at the path to the nirvana or path to enlightenment or the spiritual path is actually right here. So if we actually understand that, then it is kind of like, okay, I am going to practice it right now. So it is like, instead of putting it out into the future, so it is kind of like, it will bring to this moment, right? This right now, right here. So it is kind of like, what it is actually saying is kind of like, if you ask this question to yourself, am I ready to walk on the path to enlightenment? Then somehow you have to say that, yes, I am ready. So it is like, no, I'm not ready. Like, most of the time we say that, right? We are like, so it is kind of like, if we ask that, so why are we not ready? Like, why are we not ready to walk on the path? And then, like, if we ask this question, then there are 1,000 reasons why I'm not ready, right? Just kind of like, if we look, focus kind of like ourselves, the kind of like, we have so many reasons, like why, and kind of, if you put a list of things that why I am not ready to walk on the path that Buddha has shown, then it is kind of like, we will have so many reasons. And this, somehow, this all reason is something like, we are always looking for some kind of like a perfect moment, right? Some perfect moment. It is just like, and like the way actually we say that why I'm not ready is because then we say that I need a lot of condition, right? It's just kind of like, our condition is so kind of like a very unreasonable in a way. It's just like, okay, to be ready, I have to be sort of like, if we talk from this modern, lifestyle point of view, then we will say that I'm not ready yet to walk on the path because I'm not financially stable, or it is the weather is not right, or the environment is not right, sort of like. So if we are looking for like an excuse that why I'm not ready, then we will find a plenty of excuse, because it is kind of like our ego is expert in making excuse, isn't it? Right? Our ego is always making excuse, and so if we are looking for that perfect condition from the outer world, it's just like, okay, I need a perfect company, I need a perfect master, I need a perfect house, I need a perfect weather, I need a perfect environment, I need a perfect society, I need a perfect world. So if we are looking for that perfect, then we are never, right? We will never ready. So somehow, kind of like when Buddha said, this is the path, the truth of the path is something that we should not look for the path somewhere in the future. It is right here, right now. It's just kind of like, if you look, if you stop asking question why I'm not ready, it is not right, it is not actually good. It is not good to ask this why question. Anyway, generally, like whenever we ask this question why, then our egoistic mind gets so excited, right? It's just like if somebody did something to you, and then instantly we ask this question, why that person is doing that to me, or something like, if some kind of unfortunate event fell into our life, and then immediately our habit is that we always ask why it is happening to me. And as soon as we ask this question why, then see how many reasons and how much our ego mind is getting excited to get that answer. And somehow there is a kind of like some sort of like a temporary satisfaction and joy that our ego gets whenever we ask this question why, because then we get so many things to blame, right? Because it's just like, because it is just like, we don't want to take that responsibility, right? We don't want to take that responsibility, and then it's just kind of, as soon as kind of we ask this question, why? Because nothing is right in the outside. Nothing is kind of like, everything is not good, everything is sort of like, so somehow our mind actually get into that mode of trying to figure out why. Then we are actually wasting a lot of time. So somehow, when Buddha said, "Dinni lam pape dembao," this is the truth of path. So somehow, like we should learn how to see that the path to enlightenment, path to nirvana. So whatever Buddha was showing, so the path is here. From here we have to study, and from here we have to start. So walking on the path is just kind of like we have to look at the truth of path is right here. So like don't kind of like ask this question, why I'm not ready. It is not good to ask. It is just like we have to kind of go, it is like, why am I not ready? Like it is just like we are ready. It is just kind of like this readiness to bring ourselves to become ready to walk on the path that's shown by Buddha. So that is why he said, this is the truth of path. So why he actually putting this present tense, saying this is, right? So that is somehow, it has a very powerful message. So to saying that we if we are looking for the path to enlightenment, don't look for the path somewhere in the future or in the past. It is right here in the present moment. So here, from here, you have to start. So then, so what is that path, right? The truth of path. And then, like the second line, Buddha actually said, Lam Gombarcha. So this is a very interesting word, right? Lam means path. Path should be practice. So now, path is something that it is something that we kind of like. It is not something to kind of like not to live somewhere in the idea, but it is something to practice. But then the word practice also like in Tibetan it actually says Gombarcha, right? Gombarcha. And so somehow in like the Tibetan meaning of Gombarcha, like the path should be practiced. The word that practice actually has another word in Tibetan called the lagle, nyamle, like sometimes it is called lagle, like casually we say lagle, and then kind of like if we kind of use the spiritual term, then we call it nyamle. So it is like what is the meaning of the practice? Practice means like lak to lemba means taking, like it is just kind of like taking it, and taking it also like if we look into the origin of the word when Buddha said lam gomparcha, so that Sanskrit word actually the path, right? The path like to be practiced. Tibetan actually say gomparcha, but in Sanskrit it's something like bhava, sort of like also has some sort of like a meaning that is actually showing cherish or caring. So it is just some sort of like the practice means sort of like taking it in action, like lao tu lemba means taking it in your own hand, or cherishing it, or just kind of like taking it like not just kind of like the path is not just to talk about, right? It is like it is very easy to talk, right? It's very easy to talk. Like we can talk so many things. We can talk about anything, right? We can like it is like we always say that it is easy to promise, right? It's just very easy to promise. Like we can promise anything. I can promise, I can promise to give you a moon, right? People promise like I will give you I can promise that I can give you the whole happiness of the universe. But when it comes to practical, right? Sometimes we say, be practical, right? Be practical. So the word practice is also kind of, there is a meaning of saying practical, sort of like taking it, or kind of like something to take, right? It's called the taking. Taking means sort of like walk the talk, right? So it is just like if your path becomes some sort of like just a talk, right? It's just to talk about, like say for example, generally we say there are two main paths, right? Lam tapshi ni, like means the path has one path is called the tap, means method. Another path is called the sherab, right? So there are two. If we summarize the whole path to enlightenment, the path to enlightenment is actually summarized into two categories. One category falls into the method side of the path, and then wisdom side of the path. So it is kind of like the wisdom side and the method side, lam tapshi ni. So it is just like when we actually look at the tap, like a method side of the path, such as like the compassion, love, kindness, right? And then bodhicitta, like generating bodhicitta, and all this, like just kind of like it is easy to talk, right? It's just easy to talk. For example, it is just kind of like very easy to say, okay, may all sentient beings be happy, or just kind of we can say, for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will become enlightened, sort of like generating bodhicitta that way. So it's very easy to say. It is very easy to promise, right? But it is just kind of like so like when Buddha said, the path should be practiced, meaning that make it practical. Make it practical, and just kind of just don't leave it on just talking. So somehow what we have to do is, if we are going to walk on the path that Buddha showed, Buddha said that, it is kind of like love and compassion is the path, right, to enlightenment. Bodhicitta is the path to enlightenment, right? So it is just kind of like, if we remain on just talking and not taking it, not actually putting it into practice, then it is not the path. That is what Buddha is saying. So the path should be practice. So it is like we should put that into practice. It is just, don't just leave it on some sort of like just to talk about. Right? It is just easy to talk about, like okay, like how love and compassion is very good, bodhicitta is very good. Okay, so like even the love thy neighbor, talk about, right? But when it comes to practical level, then it just kind of like it remain in the scripture, right? It's just the path only remain in the scripture. It is just like, okay, so when it comes to our day-to-day practical level, then if we don't put it into practice, then it will not become a path, right? Just knowing about it, and just because it is in the scripture, just because it is in the book, just because it is your philosophy, it is just because you believe that, then you just, if you believe that, okay, love and compassion is good, and bodhicitta is the path to enlightenment, and then wisdom, understanding the, emptiness of all phenomena is the path, like the wisdom path, but just kind of like, if we kind of say it, we just know it in word and label, and just like we, so this is called the wisdom, this is called the method, but just kind of like knowing, about it it will not become a path. So that is why Buddha said the second line, which means the path should be practice. So it is like something that bringing that path into practical level, just kind of like walk on that, right? Walk on what you believe, walk on what you have understand. So then if it is kind of like, if we don't actually walk on what we actually believe, then like there is one big downfall that Lama Tsongkhapa actually said, whatever we are, like our spiritual practice, and if it is something become like a Shezhu Dubzhu, means it is like, okay, this is spiritual thing is just to understand and it is just to talk about, and then this part of the spiritual thing is something to actually take it into practice. We should not make that kind of distinction. Like all the path should be practice. It is something to put it into our day-to-day life practice. So that is the meaning of the second line, the Lam Gombara Cha. So the third line, Lam Gombara Cha de Gombara Char me. So that is a kind of like another, right? It is like Lam Gombara Cha de Gombara Char me, meaning that the path should be practice and it is not there to practice. So that is actually going into, it is not there to practice means, so whatever it is practicing somehow, then it is going into a more deeper level of the meaning. So more deeper level of the meaning, which is like we say that it is like, it is not there. So there is another meaning, sort of like it is not there, sort of like it is not the practice, whatever our practice, somehow practice is not there. It doesn't exist there inherently, right? It is not there inherently, and it is sort of like somehow it is all kind of like what do you call? Not inherently exist. So it is all dependent origin, dependent. So it is kind of giving a more deeper meaning, whatever we are practicing. So that practice, the nature of that practice is not inherently exist. So somehow that is actually, the third line is actually taking us into more deeper meaning of the nature of the practice. And so like traditionally, when the path to enlightenment, there is actually in the scripture, it says that Eightfold Noble Path, right? Eightfold Noble Path. So the path, like when Buddha actually kind of like expanded, like when he extended the path, so somehow it is kind of like generally in our day-to-day life, how can we actually use this path to enlightenment? How can we walk on the path to enlightenment? Is kind of like the first one, like so there is like a yang tawa, sort of like a, so English translation of the Eightfold Noble Path is sometimes we say yang tawa means kind of like a mostly people translate that as a right view, right view. So I don't know, maybe sometimes that will give a little bit of interesting connotation about right and wrong, right? So because it's kind of like, because in our kind of day-to-day life, we have so many things that is right and wrong. So like whenever we say kind of this is right things to do, this is not right things to do, somehow the word right has a kind of judgmental connotation, right, meaning to that. So sometimes that actually takes us a little bit kind of like difficult to understand the meaning. The Tibetan word for the first noble, out of Eightfold Noble Path, the first path is called Yang Takpe Tawa. So yang tabe tawa. Tawa actually means view, just kind of generally view, like it is just kind of like so how you actually see, like our view, our kind of like perspective, right? It's just kind of like somehow a view means kind of perspective, right? Sort of like having a yang tabe view. So yang tapa actually is a sometime kind of, it has a meaning of right. Yang tapa means right, but if we actually look into the actual meaning, yang tapa means actually it is like a tapa means pure. So yang kind of like means kind of what do you call? It is like more pure, right? More pure, sort of like a literal meaning of yang tapa means kind of like a more pure. So if we actually look at that as a pure view, but then what is pure and what is impure? That again, sort of like, so then sometimes we translate that as a correct view. So then again, it becomes sort of a little bit of a kind of like a philosophical meaning of what is correct and what is not correct. Anyway, so this translation of the Eightfold Noble Path is first is called the Yang Tabe Tawa, which means you have to have a right perspective. So how to look at the things, like your perspective, when you actually look at how you look at the world, how you look at yourself, how how you actually see, like a kind of like a with the kind of, if we look at the things with a narrow perspective, then somehow it is considered that it is a wrong view, right? So if you look at the things, if you look at your situation, if you look at yourself, if you look at everything with the correct perspective, so means kind of wider perspective, so more sort of like open perspective. So be more open, sort of like you look at things more openly, sort of open perspective, open view. So if your view is sort of like, okay, so this is just thinking that wrong, like kind of like what you call narrow. I am right and I'm always right and nobody is right. I am the only one who is right. Then it is like you are holding a very, what do you call? Narrow perspective. So it is not an open perspective. So right view means kind of like a very open perspective. So be sort of like that is the basic path. So if we want to walk on the first path, Eightfold Noble Path, so that is a right view, sort of like an open perspective. So that if we go back into that question of do we have that, right? It is like are we ready? Are we ready to walk on that path to become more open? Like it is our choice, right? We have a choice. We can actually become very open person, like open, like having a not a kind of like close-minded. So if you have an open-minded, then if your mind is open, so then that is actually the first thing that you are walking on the path to enlightenment. So to have this like the right view means sort of like you have to have a more open perspective. Your view should be very open, so open-minded, right? So that is the first out of Eightfold Noble Path. The first one is called the right view, Yang Tabe Tawa. And then, like the second one is called the Yang Tabe Tokpa. So Tokpa means intention. So intention, sort of like so you Yang Tabe Tokpa, or thought, sort of like so you have to have a right intention. So like anything, just kind of like whatever you do, if you have first you have an open view, open mind, and then within that open mind, if you have your intention is right, or your intention is pure. If you have a good intention, right? So having a pure intention is the second Eightfold Noble Path. So that is why Yang Tabe, what do you call? yang tabe tokwa. And then, like, so with these two, then if we actually have sort of like a yang tabe nga, means the third out of Eightfold Noble Path, the third one is called the yang tabe nga, means right speech. Sort of like a speech means communication, right? Sort of like a right communication, right expression, sort of like a, so it is like a many times we as a human being, social being, we actually, when we actually in our day-to-day life, like our speech plays a very important role, right? The expression. So it is just kind of like how you express. So you express kind of like physically expressing, verbally expressing, or whatever kind of like from your gesture you are expressing, sort of like you express the right speech, sort of like right expression. So it is kind of like with the open mind, with the pure intention, and then if you say something that is actually not harmful, right? Like how you live your life is kind of like how you communicate, and then that is the third. So that is also, we have that, right? It is something that we can actually walk that path, like when we are actually when we are going to kind of communicate with someone, it is our option. We have a choice. Like am I going to talk in the right way, like a helpful way, harmless, right? So it is kind of like if it is a harmful speech, then it is a wrong speech. So if it is a helpful speech, or kind of like a necessary speech, or truth, right? So those are the sort of like right speech, yang tabe ma. Then yang tabe, the fourth one is called the yang tabe leg ta. Yang tabe leg ta means yang tabe, it's kind of like action. So it is kind of like a action, like a physical action, sort of like whatever you are going to do, sort of kind of like a helpful, not harmful action. So that is the, like if we kind of, whatever we do in our day-to-day life, like just everything, like putting like a leg, that means action, right? Action, like right action. So I don't have to say what is right action and wrong action, you already know. So that is the, like a 51, right? And then yang tabe choa, sort of like a right livelihood, right? So it is kind of like your lifestyle, or kind of like how you live your life with the right livelihood, sort of like whatever your career, whatever you do in your day-to-day life, that is kind of like how you make your life. You make your life without kind of engaging into some harmful things, right? So that is the right livelihood. And then like the other three, which is kind of like it is more sort of like in the kind of like mind. So it is like in the mind part, which is kind of a yang tabe, yang tabe temba, right? Yang tabe zolwa, sort of like so it is like yang tabe zolwa means effort. So right effort. So whenever you are going to put sort of something that whatever you do, if you do that joyfully, kind of like, and then like that is called like joyfully, and sort of like whatever you are doing, like your effort should be joyful, and sort of like enthusiasm, right? More everything what you do is you do with enthusiasm, sort of like joy, like so that is called the right effort. And then right mindfulness, yang tabe temba, sort of like the mindfulness is something that we actually, whenever we are going to put from our mind, sort of like doing that mindfully or consciously, sort of like sort of that is like your mind, kind of like how you actually keep your mind. If you actually kind of like having more mindful, then that is also the path, right? So that is called the yang tabe temba. which means the seventh, out of 7, 8, that is the seventh one. The last one is called the Yangtabe Tingenzin. Yangtabe Tingenzin means right concentration, sort of like right focus. So everything sort of like when your mind, how to actually keep your mind is you keep your mind sort of like whatever you're doing, you do that with a kind of like not so much distraction, single pointedly. So those are the Eightfold Noble Path that Buddha has actually, when he extended the truth of path, then Buddha actually talked about the Eightfold Noble Path. So generally, Eightfold Noble Path somehow is kind of in the Buddhist traditional, we put the wheel, right? The wheel has eight spoke. So it's kind of like each spoke has a path, right? Sort of like a eightfold noble path. So anyway, so that is just a short teaching on the truth of path, and so today actually this much, right? And then I hope that today in Asia and in India, like our Sagatawa actually is actually almost to finishing, but in America, I think it is just started. So just kind of make today good use of this day, just kind of like honor Buddha Shakyamuni, and as His Holiness the Dalai Lama say, honoring Buddha Shakyamuni, best way to honor is to actually understand his teaching and then putting his teaching and the path that Buddha has shown us to walk on that path and think about those Eightfold Noble Path, and then see, I can apply, right? Can I apply those Eightfold Path in my day-to-day life? And somehow, to apply those Eightfold Noble Path, really, it is kind of like you don't have to be religious, right? You don't have to believe anything. It is just kind of like, I think this Eightfold Noble Path is a very common sense way. It is kind of like a right view is like having an open view and pure intention, right? And then Yangtabe Nga, which is kind of like a pure speech and pure action, and then pure livelihood, right? And then kind of like a last three, actually, Selwa, kind of what do you call, right effort, sort of like a joyful effort, and then mindful, kind of applying mindfulness in our kind of like a day-to-day life, and then things that we do it with the concentration, right? Sort of single-pointedly, and that is kind of very kind of like if we want to accomplish thing, if our mind is too kind of like sort of like our mind, is going into, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. If it is kind of like kind of hold, like I want to do this and I want to do that too. So if your mind energy goes in two directions that way, so somehow that is kind of like we will not get anywhere, right? So kind of right concentration. So these are the kind of like the path that has shown by Buddha, and put that into practice. Just kind of don't say that, okay, today I'm not going to, but I'm not ready. Maybe tomorrow, from tomorrow I will do. It is not, don't kind of put it that way. Just kind of like putting it sort of like right now. Like from this moment, I now today I know this is the Eightfold Noble Path, and I'm going to apply this. I'm going to apply this right now. So if you apply those Eightfold Noble Path you just kind of, you start walking on that path. Do it right now. Then I think that is the best way to honor Buddha Shakyamuni, right? And that is the best way. You're just walking on the path that is shown by Buddha Shakyamuni. And that is honoring Buddha Shakyamuni. So today, taking this opportunity of Sagadawa, then kind of you actually know that, okay, this is what Buddha has taught, and this is what I'm going to walk. And for that, it is kind of like, as I said, always say that you don't have to put a label of religious person, because sometimes it is not so important to put a label, right? It is kind of like, if you just walk the path that Buddha has shown, then it is kind of like honoring Buddha Shakyamuni anyway, right? All right, so with this, we are actually concluding, and and here I see some of you on my iPad. As I always mention, that sometimes I don't see your name on my iPad. It doesn't show somehow. I don't know why it doesn't show. But whoever it is showing here, I wanted to greet them personally. So the first I see here is Champa Tendela, Tashidelek, Champa Tendela, and then Andrew Wall, Tashidelek, John Gossett, Tashidelek, Rinpoche and all, Luann Beringer, Tashidelek, and Melissa Smith, Tashidelek, James Riviazzo, Tashidelek, James, and then JC Singh, Tashidelek, JC, Mary K. Moses, Tashidelek, Kathy Hodge, Tashidelek, and then I see Michael Dean, Tashidelek, Michael, and Uyen Doan, Tashidelek, Uyen, and then Paris Musher, Parva, Tashidelek, dear Rinpoche, thank you for the Dharma teaching, you are welcome. And then GT Tuan, Tien, Tashidelek, Tien, and Elizabeth Dreher, Tashidelek, Elizabeth Dreher, and then Tina Watsky, Tashidelek, Tina, and David Comito, Tashidelek, from Kayla and David, Tashidelek, both of you, and Dennis Shaver, Tashidelek, Dennis, thank you for your teaching, you are welcome, and Gishin Namje Sangbo, Tashidelek, and so that is about, it is showing on my, Mary Kay has a question here. Does anyone else have a problem with the program freezing? I think maybe sometime because of the internet connection, and sometimes it freezes, right? I think. So maybe there's something to do with the internet. And Tundu Yelak Sang, Tundu Tashidele, and Jitka Marigold, happy Sagadawa Rinpoche, thank you for your teaching. Jitka Tashidelek, happy Sagadawa. And Tashipinzo, Tashidelek, Miyuki Onazawa Watanabe, I'm deeply grateful for your profound teaching on this special day. Thank you. Tashidelek, Miyuki-san. Carol Inglestek, Tashidelek, and then Ninju Kumaran, Tashidelek. And you wrote something here, prostration to Gurudev, who is the bridge between the Dharma and us. Master, you make the essence of the teaching accessible, understandable, and digestible even to people like me who have zero learning. So our pledging attempt at study are joyful and impactful. Every teaching you give us, Gurudev, is transformative because you translate theory into clear and concise instruction for practice path in and through our daily life. All our physical, mental obstacles are clear. Our study is facilitated by Guru Kripa, the limitless grace of our kindness. Namo Namaha. Pranam, Tashidelek, Ninju. And Mary Kay is again saying Tashidelek. Nyudlai Arriva, Tashidelek, Sandra, Baraza, Tashidelek. Happy Sagadawa to you too. Helen Person, happy Sagadawa. Rinpoche Tashidelek, Helen, happy Sagadawa. Alright, so I think, and then I see Alex just wrote here, Tashidelek Rinpoche, praying for your long life and good health. Thank you, Alex. And then I see Rawang Gitsenjoa, Tashidelek. And so I think that is about it. So this is our Sagadawa. And so I think this weekend, so many of you, I don't know maybe you know that we are doing a memorial weekend retreat, virtual retreat on White Tara. So we will be, I will be actually offering White Tara empowerment live on through Zoom. And if you are interested, you are welcome to register through the Emaho Foundation's website. And then we will actually, it is a weekend, few sessions, some sessions I will also teach how to do the practice, and we will all be doing Tara practice. And I think maybe it is also the timely that the Tara practice is also very beneficial for all of us. And so just kind of like, I think we will be doing that on the Friday, right? 28th Friday, starting the introduction, and then Saturday, like that is the time, I think time and day is from the American Arizona time point of view, because it was organized by my center in Arizona, Emaho Foundation. So we actually go with the Arizona time. So if you want to know more information, please contact Emaho Foundation, how to register. And okay, so next week, Wednesday, again, we will be doing the same Wednesday with Rinpoche. And so see you all next Wednesday. Happy Sagat Dawa, and Tashi Delek.